Hello guys and welcome back to our Law on Obligations and Contracts series. So narito na tayo sa ating Voidable Contracts na video. So this is based from the article 1390 to 1402 of the Civil Code of the Philippines. So before tayo mag-start, please subscribe to our channel para ma-update kayo sa ating mga susunod pang mga videos. Okay, so let's start. So ito yung magiging overview ng ating pag-uusapan ngayon. So number 1, i-define natin kung ano nga ba ang mga voidable contracts or ano ba yung mga characteristics nito. Pangalawa, yung pangalawa at pangatlo actually are the reasons kung bakit nagiging voidable ang isang contract. So that is incapacity and if there is a presence of one of the vices of consent. So i-discuss natin yan into two separate sections of this video. Okay, so balikan natin. Next, pang-apat, itatalakay natin kung ano nga ba ang meaning ng annulment. Okay, so ano nga ba ang effect ng annulment sa isang voidable contract. Next, pang-5, titignan natin ang difference, okay, between annulment and rescission. Kung maalala nyo, ang rescission ay tungkol sa rescissionable contracts, which is previous video po natin yon. Okay, and lastly, we will talk about ratification of voidable contracts. So let's start muna sa pag-alam or pagtingin sa status ng isang voidable contract. So, what are voidable contracts? Okay, so ayan nga, based from yan natin, nasaan yung aking, ayun. Based from article 1390, okay, ito yung mga reasons kung bakit nagiging voidable ang isang contract. Okay? Kapag merong isa sa mga parties which is incapable of giving consent, okay? Magiging voidable po yung contract natin. Okay? Ang status ng contract po natin ay voidable. So maya-maya talakayin ano nga ba ang pagiging voidable. So in comparison with other types of defective contracts. Okay, so gusto ko lang linawin na ang tinutukoy nating incapacity dito is yung absolute incapacity. Okay, kasi merong dalawang uri ng incapacity. Una, itong nabanggit natin dito, absolute incapacity. Meron din tinatawag na relative incapacity. Ang pagkakaiba po ng dalawa, yung absolute incapacity, kapag ang isang tao ay absolutely incapacitated sa kahit anong contract, hindi siya pwedeng magbigay ng consent. Meaning, lahat ng contract na pasukan niya ay magiging voidable ang status. Okay? However, kapag relatively incapacitated naman ang isang tao, may mga certain contracts lang na hindi niya pwedeng pasukan. So, let's say pinasukan niya yung specific contract na yon. Ano ang magiging status ng contract na yon? Actually, usually, it is a void contract. Okay? So, for example, donations between husbands and wives. Kapag pinasok nila yon, yung kontratang yun, contract of donation, it will, yung magiging status ng contract of donation po natin ay void. Okay? So, yun. Although, ang mga husbands and wives, syempre, generally, mga na yan, mga 18 years old and above na yan. So, usually, sa ibang klaseng contract, pwede silang magbigay ng consent. Pero, yung specific contract na yun, which is a contract of donation, hindi pwede. Okay? So, balik tayo dito sa number 1, which is absolute incapacity. Pero, itong absolute incapacity po natin, hindi po ito, tawag dito, absolute talaga na, kumbaga, kapag merong absolutely incapacitated, automatically voidable yung contract natin. Siyempre, meron tayong exemption kasi general rule lang yun. At ang exemption po natin ay when the contract involves necessary. So, mamaya may example tayo dyan. Number 2, when one or more of the vices of consent is present. So meron tayong 5 vices of consent na i-discuss natin in detail later on. Okay? So unahin muna natin yung okay, so before tayo pumunta dun sa yung nag-discuss natin kanina, yung number 1 and number 2, tignan muna natin ang status ng isang voidable contract. So ayan, itong table na ito, pinakita na natin mula nung nag-discuss tayo ng resistable contract, at ngayon, uulitin natin yan. Okay? Actually, uulitin natin yan hanggang void contract para hindi nyo makalimutan. Okay? So, voidable contract, ang mga voidable contract ay, ayan, valid, binding, and enforceable. So, actually, ang meaning ng isang voidable contract ay isang contract which is valid until annulled. Okay? So, valid pa rin siya. So, kung mapapansin nyo, parehas lang sa resistable contract. Halos may pagkakahawig yung resistable contract and voidable contract kasi pareho silang valid, binding, enforceable until rescind kapag resistable, tapos naman sa voidable until annulled. Okay? So, yun ang pagkakaiba nila. Okay? So, yung unenforceable and void, mga susunod pang videos yung mga yan. Okay? So, next slide tayo. Okay. So, ito, pinlash natin to last time ulit sa resistable. Pero this time, ipa-flash natin ulit para hindi nyo makalimutan. Ganyan din, ipa-flash natin pagdating sa unenforceable at void. Okay, so punta tayo sa voidable. Tingnan natin to, itong column ng voidable. Okay, so bakit daw siya defective? Usually, the defect is on the consent. Okay, consent side. Kung makapansin nyo, yung dalawang reasons po natin kung bakit voidable yung contract kanina, di ba? Number 1, incapacity. Ibig sabihin, although nagbigay ng consent yung isang party, pero parang kumbaga yung consent na yun, medyo hindi siya ganun ka-intelligible. Especially, for example, nagbigay ng consent ang isang, let's say, minor, di ba? So, bata pa lang yun. So, hindi pa, kumbaga murang isipan pa lang yun. Okay? Ganun din kapag, let's say, baliw, di ba? So, ang baliw ay incapacitated din. So, kapag nagbigay ng consent ang isang baliw sa isang contract, so mukhang hindi yun intelligible, baka hindi niya na i-consider yung contract, which is di ba? So, which is pwedeng maging burdensome sa kanya or pwedeng kumbaga lugi siya dun sa kontrata. So, yung mga ganong klaseng kontrata, kapag pinasukan ng baliw, insane person, usually voidable siya. Okay? So, yun yung kung bakit siya defective. Consent ang problema. Ganon din kapag dun sa number 2 na reason natin kung bakit voidable yung contract, which is yung mga presence ng 1 or 2 or combination of the different vices of consent. Okay? Which will be discussed later on in details. Okay? Can it be ratified? Yes. Okay? Applicable provisions, so Article 1390, nababanggit dyan yun. And remedy to avoid. Okay, so what are we referring to avoid? Anong i-avoid natin? I-avoid natin yung contract, okay? So, the remedy to avoid a voidable contract, pag sinabi natin avoid, to invalidate a voidable contract, is the annulment, okay? So, yung kanina, tawag dito, resistable, rescission, okay? At kung mapapansin nyo, pagdating sa unenforceable and void, NA. So, ano na lang, secret muna yan ngayon. Okay? Pagdating natin sa video na yan, tsaka natin explain in detail. Okay? So, let's go to incapacity. So, kanina, nabanggit natin. Okay? Ayan, number 1. When one of the parties is incapable of giving consent. So, absolute incapacity. Pero meron tayong exemption. Okay? So, example, M, a minor, bought food from X, 25 years old. So, take note pala, one lang isang party lang. Yung isa, capacitated siya. Kasi kung parehong incapacitated, hindi siya mag-fall sa voidable. Mag-fall siya under unenforceable. Okay? Sa future video po natin yun, i-discuss. Okay? This contract may have been voidable. Okay? Voidable sana ito. Pero, okay, this contract involves a necessary. Ano ba yung mga necessary natin? I-lay down natin, mga food, water, shelter, ano pa ba? Clothing, education, etc. Okay? So, lahat ng considered necessaries, kapag yun ang object ng contract, kahit na minor, okay, or incapable of giving consent yung isa sa mga party, perfectly valid na po itong contract na ganito. Okay? Hindi po siya voidable. Perfectly valid na itong contract na to. Kasi exemption nga yun kapag when the contract involves necessaries. Okay? So, another example, hindi ko alam kung may mga naka-experience na sa inyo ng question na ganun, yung kapag medical, medical care, parang gano'n. So, yung mga gano'n, necessaries din yung mga yun. For example, ginamot ka ng doktor without your, let's say, without, when you are, parang kumbaga habang minor ka pa lang. So, hindi pwede mo bang sabihin na minor pa lang ako, voidable yung kontrata natin, hindi kita babayaran. So, hindi po pwede yun. Perfectly valid na yung contract because it involves necessary. Okay? So next, when one or more of the vices of consent is present. So, meron tayong 5 nabanggit kanina and one of those is violence. Ano nga ba ang violence? So, nandito po ang definition ng violence. When in order to wrest consent, serious or irresistible force is employed. Okay? So, merong physical dito. Okay? May involved na physical contact. Okay? Doon sa isang party. Okay? So, for example, A asks B to buy his cell phone for 1,000. B refused. However, anong nangyari? A then punches B in the face until he agreed to buy it. So, merong physical contact. Okay? Pero meron pa tayo nabanggit kanina. Huwag niyong kakalimutan yung irresistible. Okay? Irresistible. Okay? So, for example, may way naman pala si B para to fight back. Let's say, let's say malaki ang katawan niya. Itong si A, hindi naman pero ganun pa man, hinayaan niya lang, parang ganun, okay? So, actually, it's a matter of, parang medyo, na siya, dapat, kumbaga, irresistible talaga. Dapat, there's no way na parang, kumbaga, mapigilan mo, okay? Pero in that case, yung sinasabi ko nga, okay, paano kung ganun, malaki ang katawan mo, you have a way of fighting back or running, parang ganun, pwede ka namang tumakbo, pero nagstay ka doon. Okay, so, pwedeng maging reason yun na perfectly valid na yung contract kapag ganun. Okay? So, dapat irresistible. Okay? Next, pangalawa sa vices of consent natin is yung tinatawag nating intimidation. So, ang pagkakaiba nito from the first one is yung violence merong physical contact. However, in intimidation, wala pong physical contact dito. So, when one of the contracting parties is compelled, okay? So, compelled daw siya by a reasonable and well-grounded fear of an imminent and grave evil upon his person, okay? Sa kanya mismo or sa kanyang property or upon the person or property of his spouse, descendants, or ascendants to give his consent. Okay? So, kumbaga, pag sinabi nating intimidation, binantaan ka. Okay? Binantaan ka. Okay? At feeling mo, seryoso yung bantang yun, kaya napa-oo ka na lang dun sa contract. So, for example, si A asks B to lease B's land or else he will set B's house in fire. Okay. Nung nagbanta si A na susunugin niya ang bahay ni B, si B syempre takot dahil let's say itong si A mukhang kriminal. At sa further na pagre-research niya, may record na rin ito na arson, parang gano'n, di ba? Tagasunog talaga pala daw. So ayan, talagang matatakot siya. Okay, so dahil doon, napa-oo na lang siya dahil hindi naman din siya makapagsumbong sa pulis kasi aligid-aligid, for example lang, di ba? Okay, so in this case, itong contract na mabubuo between A and B is a voidable one. Okay? So, meron perong exemption itong intimidation. Okay? May exemption yan. Actually, hindi naman talaga siya exemption. Okay? So, for example, a threat to enforce one's claim. Okay? Although threat siya, pero yung threat na yun ay legal. Okay? To enforce one's claim through competent authority if the claim is just or legal does not vitiate consent. Although nakaka-intimidate siya, di ba? Mata-threaten mo siya into going on with the contract, okay? At least yung pagbabanta mo legal, okay? Unlike doon sa nauna nating example na susunugin mo yung bahay. So for example, ito, A asks B to lease B's land or else he will sue B because he, tinutukoy dyan si B he violated A's right of easement regarding B's property. So merong na-violate si B. Okay? At kapag hindi pumayag si B na pumasok sa isang kontrata between them, ano mangyayari? Kakasuhan niya daw. Okay? So yung pagkaso niya is actually legal yan, di ba? Legal ano yan, legal na pagbabantayan. So yung pagbabantang yun, yung intimidation na yun, hindi po siya magre-result into a vitiated consent. Meaning hindi po magiging voidable yung magiging contract nila dito. Perfectly valid po ito. Okay? So next, punta naman tayo sa pangatlong vice to consent, mistake. Okay, so what is the definition? Mistake that refers to the substance of the object, identity of a person, or conditions that have principally moved one or both parties to enter into a contract. Okay? So, hindi porket mistake, automatically nakaka-vitiate ng consent. May mga mistake na nakakapag-vitiate ng consent, may mga hindi rin. Okay, so tignan natin itong mga examples natin. So, unang example, SNB entered into a contract of sale for a piece of land worth 1 million. The clerk who made the deed of sale mistakenly typed 100,000. Okay, so in this case, nagkaroon ng mistake as to the written price in the instrument. So actually, itong mistake na to, hindi niya na po na-vitiate yung consent. Bakit? Kasi si SNB, alam naman nila na 1 million yan. Sadyang mali lang yung nakasulat dun sa deed of sale, which is caused by the mistake of the clerk. At itong mistake na to, walang effect ito sa kontrata between S and B. So, kung hindi ito voidable, kasi itong mistake na to na nabanggit sa example na to, hindi po siya nakaka-vitiate ng consent. So, meaning hindi magiging voidable yung contract between S and B. So, meaning perfectly valid na ito. Pero may problema pa rin yung contract nila, yung deed of sale. Mali yung nakalagay. So, ano ang tamang remedy dito? So kung maalala nyo yung topic natin sa chapter 4, okay, reformation of contract, that is the proper remedy here. Okay, actually ang nire-reform mo is yung instrument, okay, that will represent the contract. You will reform the deed of sale. That is the proper remedy in this example. Hindi po annulment kasi hindi naman siya voidable contract. Okay? So another example tayo. Okay? A, believing that B is his long-lost brother, agreed to donate him, okay, a house and lot. Okay? So, ano nangyari? Nagkamali siya as to the identity, okay, of a person. involving a contract of donation to. Okay, so in this case, the contract of donation between A and B will be a voidable contract because na-vitiate yung consent ni A. Okay, at ano yung naging cause ng pagkaka-vitiate ng consent niya? Through mistake, nagkamali siya with regards to the identity of B. Okay? Next, another example na naman. Okay? So this time, S sold to B a diamond ring. Later on, both of them found out it is fake. Okay. So, honest mistake. So, wala pang element ng fraud dito kasi hindi ko naman sinabi na alam naman ni S na fake yun pero pinabilib niya si B. Hindi po ganun yung situation dito. Pareho po silang inosente in this case. Nalaman nila pareho na fake pala yun after mangyari yung contract, di ba? So, in this case, this is a voidable contract. Pwede nilang mapa-void to. Okay? Kasi this is mistake on both of their part. Okay? So, kung mapapansin nyo, yung una nating example, ang nagkamali lang, okay, ang na-vitiate lang yung consent ay si A. Sa sumunod na example, nagkaroon ng mutual mistake between S and B. Okay? And sabi natin, both of these examples will vitiate consent and will result eventually to a voidable contract. Okay? So, ano nga ba itong mga examples na to? Okay? Meron kasi tayong dalawang example or parang kumbaga classification ng mistake under the law. Okay? First is the mistake of fact. Okay? So, ito yung mistake of fact. Kumbaga, yung fact. Okay? For example, yung nature ng diamond ring which is the object of the contract. Okay? It is a fact na fake pala yan. Okay? Hindi talaga diamond. Okay, so nakabi ko. And yung isa naman, ito naman, A believing that his that B is his long lost brother. So in this case, the fact is hindi pala ito yung long lost brother niya, which is nagkaroon ng mistake. Okay? So nagkamali tayo dito. Pareho yung nakopy natin, okay? So in mistake of fact, whether it is mutual or not, okay, tatandaan nyo to, whether it is mutual or not, it will result to a voidable contract. Okay, tatandaan nyo yan. Next, another example, mistake pa rin tayo. Hindi pa rin tayo alis. Okay, so when one or more of the vices of consent is present, okay, so ayan, mistake. So in a pacto de retro sale, so by the way, ano yung pacto de retro sale? So pacto de retro sale is a sale with a right to repurchase. Okay, binenta mo pero meron ka pa ring right para i-buy back yung binenta mo. Okay? So, between S, which is the vendor a retro, meaning siya yung originally nagbenta at meron siyang right para bilihin yun subsequently. Okay? And B, there was no redemption stated. Okay? Walang nabanggit dun sa kontrata nila na redemption period. Although, malinaw dun sa kontrata na ito ay isang pacto de retro sale pero hindi nila nabanggit doon yung period or redemption period. Okay? So, si B, gusto niyang i-annul yung contract on the grounds of mistake. Bakit? Kasi akala niya, okay, ganito. Akala niya, dahil walang nakasulat na redemption period, hindi na pwedeng ma-redeem. Which is, actually, pag tinignan mo sa batas, hindi, ganun yun. Okay? Kapag walang nabanggit na redemption period, automatically, ang magte-take effect na redemption period is 4 years. Okay? Which is hindi alam ni B. Okay? So, this is a mistake of law. Okay? So, unlike dun sa nauna nating mga example, which are mistake of fact, this time, this is a mistake of law. Okay? So, will it vitiate consent? Or I mean, will it result eventually or ultimately to a voidable contract? The answer is no. Okay? Because, okay, syempre, yung pinaka-basis natin dyan is Article 3 of the Civil Code. Okay, ano yung Article 3? So that is ignorance of the law excuses no one from compliance therewith. Okay, yun po yun. Okay, yun yung parang pinaka-basis natin dito. Okay, kung bakit kapag mistake of law ang pinag-uusapan, hindi siya magre-result into a voidable contract. Okay, hindi niya pwedeng maging excuse yun para mag-avail ng annulment of the contract. However, okay, so yan natin, mistake of law. So mistake of law yan. Article 3 of the Civil Code, ignorance of the law excuses no one from compliance therewith. However, meron tayong exemption. If there is what we call a mutual mistake of law, kung parehong parties nalito, okay, hindi nila alam, okay, hindi na po mag-a-apply yung Article 3. Ang mag-a-apply na po is yung Article 1334, which is, ang sabi dito, mutual error as to the legal effect of an agreement when the real purpose of the parties is frustrated may, okay, actually mayroon pa diyang may, okay, ibig sabihin pwedeng hindi pa rin, di ba? May vitiate consent, okay? So tatandaan nyo, general rule, kapag mistake of law, hindi po nabivitiate ang consent. Anong reason ulit? Dahil sa Article 3, ignorance of the law excuses no one from compliance therewith. Pero meron tayong pwedeng maging exemption kapag nagkakaroon ng tinatawag na mutual mistake of law. Okay? So next, punta naman na tayo sa fraud. Okay? This is the pang-apat na one of the vices of consent. So, ang definition nito, ayan, through insidious words or machinations of one of the contracting parties, the other is induced, okay, to enter into a contract which without them, okay, ang tinutukoy na without them, without the fraud, okay, or the insidious words or machinations, he would not have agreed to. Okay? So, yan. Okay? So, kung maaalala nyo, sigurado ako naaalala nyo to. Dolo incidente, dolo cosante. So, nabanggit natin yan last time. Anong pagkakaiba niyan ulit? Okay? Tingnan natin ang pagkakaiba. Pag dolo incidente, usually yan yung fraud na ini-employ mo. Okay? Na ini-employ mo. Usually kapag tapos nang ma-perfect yung contract or tapos nang magawa yung contract. At ang dolo cosante naman, usually, okay, ini-employ yan before mabuo ang isang kontrata. Pero actually, that's not the case. Okay? Kasi may mga instances na nagkakaroon pa rin ng dolo incidente before, okay, or in obtaining consent or before mabuo ang isang kontrata. So, ang tamang distinction between dolo incidente and dolo cosante is whether, okay, deviate consent or not. Okay, so that is the proper distinction between these two. So, si dolo incidente, this never, okay, vitiate consent and will never, okay, result to a voidable contract. Pero itong dolo cosante, ito yung nagvi-vitiate ng consent, okay, which is yung tinutukoy na vice of consent, yung fraud, ito yung fraud na tinutukoy dito. This one vitiates consent and will eventually make a contract voidable. Okay? So, let's have an example para mas maintindihan natin yung sinasabi ko kanina. So, X applies for a job with a requirement of 3 to 5 years experience on a specific job. So, let's say, yung requirement na yan, it's a must, talagang importante, talagang in-emphasize doon sa ating job posting na dapat meron talaga yan. Hindi lang siya, kumbaga, hindi lang siya parang advantage, pero it is a requirement talaga. Okay. Ano nangyari? Though having only 3 years of experience, X made it appear that he has 5 years of experience. Okay. So, the question is, will this vitiate consent in hiring X? For example, he is the only one. He is the only person that met the requirement. Okay? He is the only person dun sa mga nag-apply. O ewan ko kung bakit nag-apply pa rin yung iba, di ba? Despite na hindi nila naabot yan. Okay? Si X lang nakaabot dun sa 3 to 5 years. Pero may ginawa siya. Okay? May kalukuhan pa rin siyang ginawa. Sabi niya 5 years, although 3 years. Although, di ba nga, pag-iisipin mo, kahit naman na 3 years ang nilagay niya doon, ma-hire pa rin siya kasi yan yung requirement. Pasok pa rin doon sa requirement. So in this case, yung klaseng fraud na in-employ ni X dito, it is what we call an incidental fraud. However, the timing, okay, ang timing is before mabuo ang isang kontrata, specifically the contract of employment, di ba? Or in obtaining consent, di ba? During obtaining consent. So, hindi porket yung fraud ay in-employ in obtaining consent ay automatically dolo cosante siya. Hindi po. Pwede siyang maging dolo incidente. Bakit? Kasi hindi siya nakaka-vitiate ng consent. That's the simple reason. Okay. Now, let's tignan natin itong susunod na example naman. Very similar, pero may pagkakaiba. X applies for a job with a requirement of 3 to 5 years experience on a specific job. Though having no experience, X made it appear he has 5 years. So, ganito. Niloko niya yung resume niya. Ang requirement, 3 to 5 years. Kaso, wala siyang experience. Okay? So, in this case, kung alam nung employer or kung alam nung recruiting, ng recruitment personnel na yon na wala talaga siyang experience, so, hindi niya i-hire. Di ba? So, ganun lang yun. Okay? Unlike dun sa kanina na despite whether 3 years, 5 years man yan, i-hire niya pa rin kasi pasok sa minimum requirement. Pero dito, hindi pasok. Okay? So, in this case, malaking bagay ito. Okay? Malaking bagay ito dun sa decision na gagawin nung recruitment personnel. Okay? So, in this case, this will be considered a causal fraud or dolo cosante, okay, which will vitiate the consent and eventually will result to a voidable employment contract kapag natuloy man yung employment contract, di ba? Okay, so another example naman. So S sold to B his specific car. Before S delivered the car to B, he changed the engine without informing B. So anong ginawa niya? Pinalitan niya yung engine. So ang nangyari dito, tapos na eh. Tapos na yung contract. Nabenta na. I-deliver na lang. Kaso, bago niya i-deliver, may kalokohan pa siyang ginawa. Pinalitan niya yung makina without informing B. So, malinaw na panloloko yun. Okay, so in this case, will this result to a voidable contract? The answer is no. Okay, because there is already a perfected contract before the fraud was employed. Di ba? Meron ng perfectly valid contract and after that, saka lang nagkaroon ng fraud. So in this case, it will not result to a voidable contract. This contract is perfectly valid. However, pag bumalik tayo sa obligations, okay, ito yung tinutukoy ng obligations naman na fraud that will result to damages. Okay? So, balikan nyo na lang yung lesson natin sa obligations if nakalimutan nyo na. Okay? So, next, another example, fraud pa rin tayo. Okay. So, S offers B in-offer niya daw. Okay, so hindi natin nasulat. S offers B to sell, to sell his Rolex watch. Binibenta ni S yung Rolex watch niya daw kay B. S made B believe it is genuine, although he knew it is fake. So this is fraud. Okay? Ang nangyari kasi, alam niya na fake yun before niya palang i-offer kay B. Ibig sabihin, bago mabuo yung contract of sale, meron ng panglolokong nagaganap. So in this case, this will result to a voidable contract kapag natuloy yung bentahan. Okay? So another example. Okay. This time medyo may pagkakaiba. Okay. S offers B to a Rolex watch. Okay? So ganun pa rin, binebenta ni S yung Rolex watch. Pero this time, anong pagkakaiba? B asks S if it is genuine. And S responded that he think it is. So this time, hindi rin alam ni S kung genuine ba yun or hindi. Basta binebenta niya lang. Okay, so meron tayong nakalagay dito. Ito, importante ito. S is not an expert. Okay. So feeling niya lang original, di ba? Feeling niya lang genuine yung Rolex watch na yun. Okay? So in this case, will this example result to a voidable contract? Yun muna ang tanong ko. Yes or no? The answer is yes. Pero meron bang fraud? Yun ang tanong. Meron bang fraud? The answer is there is none. Walang fraud. Pero bakit naging voidable pa rin? Kasi hindi na ito magfo-fall under fraud. Magfo-fall na to under mistake kung maalala nyo, di ba? So ang nangyari kasi, hindi rin naman alam ni S kung genuine yun or hindi. Feeling niya lang, genuine yun. So nagbanggit lang siya ng kanyang opinion. Di ba? Opinion lang yung binanggit niya. Yes, sabi niya, feeling ko genuine yan, original yan. Okay? Although, di ba, hindi niya rin naman alam na fake yun. Okay? So in this case, kung magiging voidable man tong contract na to, hindi dahil sa fraud, kundi dahil sa mistake. Kung maalala nyo, mutual mistake of fact. Okay? So in this case, mutual mistake of fact. Okay? So next example, yan. Importante, malaking pagkakaiba. Same situation, pero this time, S is an expert when it comes to Rolex watches. Okay? So this time, expert siya. Kilala siya bilang isang eksperto. Okay? Sa mga Rolex watches. At alam yun ni B. Okay? Kaya nagtiwala siya. Okay? So ang nangyari, S offers B. Ayan, binebenta niya. So, nung tinanong ni B if it is genuine, sabi ni S, yes, I think, yes. Okay? At dahil doon, syempre, nagtiwala si B. Okay? Kasi alam niya nga, expert si S sa pagtingin ng mga genuine Rolex watches. Diba? So, ayan, nagtiwala siya doon. Kaya, binili niya. Okay? So, in this case, again, just like the first one, magiging voidable pa rin tong contract na to. Pero this time, okay, ang reason kung bakit siya naging voidable ay dahil sa fraud. Okay? Hindi na mistake. Dahil, anong pagkakaiba? Expert kasi si S eh. Di ba? Expert si S. So, kahit sabihin natin nagkamali lang siya, expert siya. Hindi siya pwedeng magkamali. Di ba? So, this is fraud. Okay? This is fraud this time. Magiging voidable yung contract because of fraud. Okay? Next, last tayo. Pagdating sa vices of consent, which is the undue influence. So, definition. When a person takes improper advantage of his power over the will of another, depriving the latter of a reasonable freedom of choice. Okay, so, para mas maintindihan natin to, example. Okay? Your professor asks to marry you. You are of age, but the biggest factor for you saying yes is because he is your professor. And if you say no, you are afraid he might be disappointed and he will fail you in class. Okay, so ayun. Okay, so pinakasalan mo. Okay? Pero yung pagpapakasal mo, okay, yung consent mo, di ba? Is vitiated by undue influence, di ba? Vitiated yung consent mo because of undue influence. Okay? So in this case, the marriage contract is voidable. Okay? Voidable. So meron tayong reason para ipa-annul to eventually later on. Okay? So, yun po yung undue influence natin. Okay. Next, punta tayo sa pang-apat na section ng ating topic ngayon. So, annulment of a voidable contract. So, yun nga, sabi natin kanina, voidable contracts are valid, okay? Valid, binding, and enforceable pa rin siya until annulled. Pag inannul mo, ito yung i-invalidate mo na siya. Okay? So, ayan. When annulment cannot proceed. So, kailan hindi pwedeng i-annul ang isang contract? Number 1, when the object of the contract is lost. Okay? Hindi lang hindi lang basta-basta loss. Ang reason of loss is through default of the person who may annul the contract. Okay? So maya-maya titignan natin kung sino yung mga pwedeng mag-annul. Okay? So tatandaan nyo, number 1, when the object of the contract is lost because of default of the person who may annul the contract. So very simple, di ba? Next, number 2, when the contract is ratified. So sabi natin dati, ang ratification ay pag-cure ng defect ng isang defective contract. So kapag na-cure ang defect ng isang defective contract, hindi na siya defective. Okay? So meaning magiging perfectly valid contract na siya. So once na na-ratify ang isang voidable or annullable contract, magiging perfectly valid na siya. So therefore, hindi na pwedeng mag-proceed ang annulment. Okay? Next, who can annul voidable contract? So in case of incapacity, yung incapacitated person, kapag nawala na yung kanyang incapacity. So for example, minor, di ba incapacitated siya. So pwede niyang ma-annul yung voidable contract kapag capacitated na siya. For example, nakipag-enter siya into a contract during 17 years old. So hindi niya pa pwedeng ipa-annul kaagad. Mapapa-annul niya na lang ito kapag na-reach niya na ang 18 years old. Doon na lang siya magkakaroon ng opportunity para ma-annul yung voidable contract na pinasukan niya. And number 2 naman, yung mga persons na na-vitiate yung kanilang consent. So for example, yung mga naloko, yung nagkamali, parang gano'n, 'di ba? Nagkamali, naloko, pag fraud, 'di ba? Naloko, yung nagkamali, mistake, yung violence, yung kunwari, yung example natin kanina, yung sinuntok, siya yung pwedeng mag-annul ng voidable contract. Pag intimidation naman, yung person na in-intimidate. And undue influence, yung hindi nakapag-decide or yung napilitan na pumasok dun sa contract because of the undue influence na ine-exert nung kabilang party. Okay, so sila yung mga pwedeng mag-annul ng isang voidable contracts. Okay? Next, when can it be annulled? Okay, so number 1, so isa-isahin natin. In case of incapacity, so ito yung rule natin. Within 4 years after guardianship of minors or incapacitated person ceases. Okay, so example natin. S sold to M, 17 years old, ilan? Okay, so si M, 17 years old pa lang. So, meaning, yung contract between S and M ay voidable. So, nung na-reach niya na ang 18 years old, that's the time na pwede niya nang ipa-annul yung contract. Okay? So, kailan pwedeng maipa-annul? Pwede ba para unlimited ba yung kung kailan mo pwedeng ipa-annul? Hindi po, may limit pa rin. So, kapag na-reach mo na ang 18 years old, so diyan na magsisis yung incapacity or yung guardianship, parang gano'n, di ba? So, ang mangyayari is, magbibilang na po yung 4 years. So, meron kang window of 4 years para i-annul yung contract na yun. So, once na pag 18 years old ka na, M can avail annulment within 4 years until, di ba, kailan? Until his last day being 22 years old. So, pag magbibilang tayo, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. So, kapag 23 years old na siya, hindi na pwede. Okay? Magiging perfectly valid na yung contract na yun. Hindi na siya voidable. Kasi anong mangyayari? Nawala na yung ability niya para i-annul yung contract. So, kapag babalikan natin yung obligations natin, extinguishment of obligation, nag-prescribe na, 'di ba? Ito yung tawag sa nag-prescribe na yung kanyang right to annul the contract. Okay? So 4 years ang prescriptive period natin. when it comes to annulment. Actually, diretsong 4 years yan, pero depende sa situation. So, ito yung situation kapag incapacitated. Next, punta naman tayo sa pangalawa. Within 4 years after intimidation, violence, or undue influence ceases. Okay, so ayan. 4 years pa rin, pero this time kapag ang reason ay vices of consent, specifically intimidation, violence, and undue influence, magbibilang yun lang yung 4 years once na natapos or nag-cease yung mga intimidation, yung violence, and yung undue influence. So, let's take for example yung di ba? Yung kanina, yung example natin, undue influence. Okay, so balikan natin. Ito, yung professor, di ba? So, ang pinaka, kumbaga, nagpo-push sa'yo kung para magsabi ng yes ay, yun nga, tawag dito, because instructor mo siya at baka i-fail ka niya sa class na yun, okay? So, yung undue influence na yun ay, nagtitake effect hanggat professor mo pa rin siya. Pero once na natapos na yung klase, magsisis na yung undue influence. Okay? So, ayan. And last, okay, ito. Within 4 years, paano naman yung dalawa, di ba? Kasi 5 yung vices of consent natin, 3 pa lang yung nabanggit natin kanina, di ba? Intimidation, violence, undue influence, ceases. Dito naman, iba yung rule when it comes to mistake or fraud. 4 years from the date or from the time of discovery. Okay? So, pwedeng hindi mo kasi malaman kaagad na nagkamali ka or hindi mo malaman kaagad na naloko ka. Di ba? So, magbibilang lang yung 4 years from the time na ma-discover mo or malaman mo. Okay? So, yan yung mga prescriptive period natin when it comes to the right in annulling a voidable contract. Okay, so next, punta tayo sa pang-5 section ng ating discussion or topic for this video. So, what is the difference between annulment and rescission? Okay? Although maraming differences yan, pero mag-focus tayo sa 3 differences. Siyempre, number 1 is the pinaka-obvious na difference. Okay? Yung first. Okay, annulment is the remedy to invalidate a voidable contract. However, the rescission is the remedy which is used to invalidate a rescissionable contract. So basically, annulment and rescission will result to the same effect, which is the pag-i-invalidate ng isang contract, di ba? Defective contract, pero magkaiba yung ini-invalidate niya, yung sa annulment voidable, yung sa rescission rescissible. Okay, pero in effect pares lang yung gagawin nila. Ang mangyayari is kung ano man yung natanggap ng both parties within that contract is kailangan nilang ibalik yun sa isa't isa. Kung hindi nila pwedeng maibalik, yun nga ang mangyayari is hindi pwedeng mag-proceed ang annulment or rescission. Kaya nga kanina, okay, isa ring factor kung bakit hindi pwedeng hindi pwedeng mag-proceed ang annulment if kapag nawala yung object with regards to the di ba? Okay? So, pangalawang difference, annulment is a principal remedy, however, rescission is only a subsidiary remedy. So, meaning ganito, kapag rescission, balik tayo sa rescission, hindi ko alam kung nabanggit ito in the previous video. Pero in rescission, kapag merong other remedy, okay? For example, pwede namang, let's say, balikan natin yung example ng lesion, di ba? Kapag nagkaroon ng lesion, parang kulang yung inadequacy of cost, di ba? May kulang sa cost. So, imbis na i-rescind yung contract, pwede namang bayaran na lang yung kulang, parang gano'n, di ba? So, kapag kayang bayaran yung kulang, yun muna. Okay? Yun muna ang gagawin. Hindi mo pwedeng i-push yung rescission. Okay? Hanggat kayang punan yung kulang, di ba? Parang gano'n. However, in annulment, the annulment is a principal remedy. Meaning, pwede mong i-annul kaagad yan kahit na mayroon pang other, let's say, other way para, di ba? Para maano yung contract, di ba? Parang kung maremedyohan yung contract, di ba? So, let's say may mga other ways pa. Hindi na. Pwede kang dumiretso diyan, kasi principal remedy siya. Pwede mong ipa-annul. Okay? So, and last, okay, annulment is usually availed by parties to a contract. Kung makapansin nyo kanina, nung tinignan natin kung sino yung mga persons na pwedeng mag-annul ng contract, kung makapansin nyo, lahat sila parties to the contract. However, in rescission, ang pwedeng mag-avail ng rescission ay yung mga injured person. Even if that person is not a party to a contract. Kung maaalala nyo yung yung mga tawag dito, mga transactions in fraud of creditors, kung maaalala nyo, di ba? Isang example ng rescisable contract yon. Okay? So, yan yung tatlong malalaking pagkakaiba ng rescission and annulment. Okay? And lastly, punta tayo sa last section ng topic natin ngayon, which is the voidable contracts. So ayan, ratification of voidable contracts. So who may ratify? Sino ang pwedeng mag-ratify? Simple lang. Kung sino ang pwedeng mag-annul, siya ang pwedeng mag-ratify. Okay? Hindi ito pwedeng i-ratify nung kabilang party na hindi pwedeng mag-annul. Okay? So tatandaan nyo, kung sino yung pwedeng mag-annul ng contract, siya rin yung pwedeng mag-ratify. Tatandaan nyo yan. Okay? Paano i-ratify? Ang ratification pwede siyang gawin orally. Ibig sabihin mo lang, or in writing, or maybe implied. So ano nga ba itong implied? Meron tayong example. So suppose S sold this car to B in installment. Upon reaching, okay, let's say 17 years old siya. Okay? Nagbabayad siya installment every month. So na-reach niya na ang 18 years old. So this time pwede niya nang i-annul yung contract which is originally voidable. Pero anong nangyari? Instead of annulling the contract, anong ginawa niya? B continued to pay S. Okay? His action indicates that he ratified the voidable contract. Bakit? Kasi willing pa rin siya bayaran dire-diretso. Meron na siyang opportunity para i-annul. Sir, but ano nangyari? Di ba meron pa rin namang 4 years? Hindi. Okay, yung 4 years parang kumbaga prescriptive period yan. Pero in this case, okay, it is evident na gusto niyang ituloy yung contract, di ba? Gusto niya ituloy yung contract kasi dire-diretso pa rin siya magbabayad despite na 18 years old na siya. Okay, so in this case, impliedly ratified yung contract nila. Okay? So I believe that is the end of our topic for today. So please don't forget to subscribe to our channel and ayan, para ma-alert kayo once na na-release na namin ang susunod na video on unenforceable contracts. So, see you later guys and goodbye.